You will not always feel like rising, but rise you must. You will not always feel like working, but work you must, because the world will not wait for your mood. It moves forward with or without you. There comes a time in every life when we must choose between what we feel like doing and what we must do, and too often we wait for the warm touch of inspiration, the pleasant stirring of desire before we move. We say to ourselves, when I feel ready, I will begin. When my spirit is willing, I will act. When my heart is light, I will rise. But my dear, life does not always afford us the luxury of waiting on feelings. Desire is a flame that flickers here one moment and gone the next. It cannot be trusted to guide your destiny. It is fickle, swayed by circumstance, weather, sleep, hunger, moods, and the endless distractions of this world. If you tie the weight of your future to desire, you will forever drift, for desire has no anchor. Discipline, however, is the unyielding ground upon which you can stand. It does not ask whether you are in the mood. It does not care whether the sun is shining or whether clouds hang low with rain. Discipline is not concerned with your fleeting feelings. It is born of your deeper decision, a solemn covenant you make with yourself. Discipline rises when you do not want to rise. It speaks when silence tempts you. It moves when your body whispers, rest. It is the quiet guardian of your purpose, the invisible hand that pulls you forward when your spirit is too weary to push. And if desire is the fair weather friend that leaves you when storms appear, discipline is the companion that stays with you in the darkest night. Think for a moment of the artist who waits for inspiration. If they paint only when their heart burns with passion, their canvas will remain half empty, their colors unused, their vision unfinished. But the artist who sits at the easel each day, whether inspired or not, soon discovers that inspiration often comes to meet those who are already working. Desire rewards movement. It does not create it, and so it is in every path of life. The student who waits until they feel like studying will fall behind, while the one who sits at the desk daily, even when restless, will find wisdom gathering within them. The worker who waits until the spirit stirs will miss the opportunities reserved for the diligent. The dreamer who moves only when the heart is light will see their dreams wither, because the seed of their purpose was never watered with consistency. Discipline, my beloveds, is the soil in which greatness grows. Desire may scatter seeds, but discipline tends the garden. It waters when the sun is too hot. It pulls weeds when the body aches. It protects the fragile shoots when storms threaten to uproot them. Desire may begin the work, but discipline completes it. It is the difference between a fleeting idea and a lifelong legacy. Without discipline, desire is nothing more than smoke, beautiful for a moment, but vanishing before it can give warmth. And do not be deceived into thinking that discipline is harshness. It is not a whip. It is not a punishment. It is not a prison. It is a form of love, the highest love you can offer yourself. To discipline yourself is to say, I believe in my future more than I believe in my mood. It is to declare that your destiny is worth more than your comfort. It is to honor the gift of your potential by showing up for it again and again, even when the heart grows tired. Discipline is devotion in motion. It is faith walking with feet. It is the sacred act of doing what must be done, whether you desire it or not. There is a rhythm to life that does not bend to our moods, a sacred timing written in the soil, in the sun, in the turning of the seasons. The farmer knows this truth well. He does not argue with the ground, nor does he bargain with the rain. When the season to plant arrives, he plants. If he delays, if he waits until he feels like rising, if he says to himself, Perhaps tomorrow I will sow the seed. The earth will not pause to accommodate him. The soil will move forward. The season will pass, and the harvest that might have been will remain only a shadow in his imagination. So too is it with our lives, with our dreams, with the callings we are given. The seed of your vision cannot wait for the day when your heart is most eager. It requires you to plant it in discipline, even when your spirit hesitates. Too many souls sit upon the edge of their potential, holding their seeds in closed hands, waiting for the perfect moment. They wait for more energy, for more courage, for more resources, for more support. They wait for the stars to align and for every doubt to vanish. But the truth is this: there is no perfect moment. The earth does not ask whether you are ready. It asks only whether you are willing. The soil accepts the seed in its present state, whether the hand that places it trembles or is steady. Opportunity, like the changing of seasons, will not slow itself for your comfort. It moves forward as time does, relentless, unstoppable, indifferent to your hesitation. Think of the countless ideas, inventions, and creations buried not in the ground, but in human hearts, never planted because someone was waiting for desire to catch up to them. Think of the songs unsung, the books unwritten, the businesses unbuilt, the love unexpressed, all because the bearer of the seed whispered, "Not yet, I am not ready." And as they whispered, the season changed. The rains came and left. The sun rose and fell, and the ground that could have yielded life remained untouched. Potential rots when it is hoarded. A seed is not meant to be carried forever. It is meant to be planted, to break open, to die in order that it may live. And when you do plant it, the soil does not yield instantly. Just as the farmer does not sow today and reap tomorrow, you too must embrace the long patience of growth. But the patience only bears fruit if the seed is first surrendered to the ground. This surrender, this act of trust, is what too many avoid. They cling to the seed because it feels safe in the hand, forgetting that safety is the enemy of growth. To plant a seed is to risk, to allow it to be buried in darkness, unseen, uncertain. But only there can it sprout. Only there can it stretch toward the light. Waiting for the day when you feel ready to release it only ensures that the ground will remain barren. In every field of life, timing matters. The student who delays their studies misses the season of learning. The worker who delays their craft misses the season of building. The parent who delays the words of love misses the season of bonding. Every dream has its window, and while some windows open again, others do not. The seed that could have borne fruit in this season may never thrive if postponed to the next. Delay is not neutral. It is decay disguised as patience. And so, one must learn to plant even when weary, even when unsure, even when the heart whispers that it would be easier to wait another day. Each morning when you open your eyes, you are handed something beyond measure, something greater than gold, more precious than jewels, more powerful than the treasures of kings. You are handed the gift of time, and yet because it arrives quietly, without fanfare, without ceremony, so many take it for granted. They imagine there will always be another dawn, another chance, another tomorrow waiting patiently for them. But time is not a servant, it is a sovereign. It does not wait upon your hesitation. It does not linger while you decide whether you are ready to move. It does not stretch itself for your comfort. Time keeps moving forward, carrying you with it, whether you are prepared or not. And so the question is never whether you will spend your hours, but how you will spend them, for spend them you must. To honor the gift of time is to recognize its fragility. It is to know that the very breath you breathe is borrowed and that each beat of your heart is a rhythm that will not last forever. Too many people believe they are wealthy in time, but this wealth is an illusion. None of us knows the balance of our days. None of us can count the hours left in our account. Yet we act as though time is infinite, as though there will always be another chance to write the book, to build the dream, to speak the truth, to mend the wound, to rise and do the work. In this deception, we waste our days on trivial things, trading hours of eternity for moments of distraction. We give our mornings to laziness, our afternoons to doubt, our evenings to regret, and then wonder why the harvest is thin. The gift of time is not in its abundance, but in its scarcity. Because it is limited, it becomes sacred. If you had all the time in the world, there would be no urgency, no fire, no call to rise. But because it is fleeting, it demands reverence. To honor time is to treat each day as an altar and each hour as a sacrifice placed upon it. It is to rise with purpose even when your spirit feels heavy, because you know the sun will not rise twice for the same day. It is to understand that today is the only version of itself you will ever see, and once it slips away, no hand can call it back. Consider the worker who delays their labor, saying, "I will begin tomorrow." Tomorrow comes, and still they wait. Weeks pass, and they tell themselves the season is not right. Then years slip by, and the opportunity that was ripe in their youth has withered. What they thought was procrastination was, in truth, the slow theft of time. They never saw the thief because the thief wore no mask and carried no weapon. It stole not with violence, but with silence, with the quiet passing of unguarded hours. To honor the gift of time is to guard against this thief, to be vigilant, to recognize that lost hours cannot be bought back, no matter how much you are willing to pay. And yet, honoring time is not about rushing frantically through life, filling every moment with noise and motion. No, honoring time is about intention. It is about knowing where your energy belongs and offering it there fully. It is about planting your efforts into the soil of what truly matters, rather than scattering them in places that yield nothing. It is about saying yes to what feeds your soul and no to what drains it. It is about treating each day as the treasure it is, neither wasting it in idleness nor smothering it in busyness, but shaping it into something that aligns with the life you were meant to build. We live in a world that glorifies the grand gesture, the sudden leap, the overnight transformation. We applaud the mountain climber when he stands on the summit, but seldom do we consider the countless steps he took in silence, with no applause, no witnesses, no fanfare. We cheer for the finished masterpiece, but we do not often reflect on the brush that touched the canvas 1,000 times before the image was whole. We celebrate the book when it arrives in our hands, bound and complete, but rarely do we imagine the long nights the author spent scratching line after line, word after word, page after page. Yet this is the truth. Every monument is built not by one mighty act, but by many small ones, layered upon each other until they rise into something too great to ignore. It is easy to be deceived by the myth of sudden success. We see the singer under the bright lights and forget the years they sang to empty rooms. We see the athlete holding the trophy and forget the mornings when their body ached, when they laced their shoes before the sun had even broken the horizon. We see the leader standing tall before the world and forget the quiet days when they studied, listened, practiced, and prepared. Behind every towering monument, behind every life that commands respect, lies 1,000 small steps, some so small they might have seemed insignificant at the time. But each step mattered, for without one, the next could not follow, and without many, the monument could not stand. Small steps have a power that impatience cannot see. When you take a step each day toward your vision, the progress may feel invisible, like water dripping on stone. You may think, This does not matter. This is too little. This is too slow. But water, though soft, shapes rock when it is constant. A single stroke may not finish the painting, but 1,000 strokes will bring it to life. A single brick may not look like much, but laid with others day after day, it becomes a wall, and the walls together become a monument. Consistency is the silent architect of greatness. Too many abandon their journey because they mistake smallness for weakness. They believe that if their progress is not swift, it is not worth it. They measure themselves against others who seem to be moving faster, forgetting that the true measure of success is not speed, but endurance. What good is running swiftly if you collapse before reaching the finish line? Far better to walk steadily, step by step, building strength as you go, so that when you arrive able to stand tall. The monuments of life, character, legacy, achievement, are not raised in an instant. They are the result of patient labor, of faithfulness in the small things, of the courage to continue when no one is watching and no one is clapping. Think of the builder who dreams of a cathedral. If he stands before the empty ground and despairs because the vision is too vast, the cathedral will never rise. But if he places one stone today and another tomorrow, and yet another the day after, eventually the walls will begin to climb. Eventually the roof will shelter. Eventually the spire will point to the heavens. The same is true for you. Your dream may look overwhelming, but the way forward is always the same. One step, then another. The step may be small, it may feel unimportant, but when it is joined with hundreds and thousands more, it becomes part of something enduring, something magnificent, something eternal. When people speak of courage, they often imagine it as a roar, a bold declaration, a triumphant shout that silences fear and commands respect. But courage in its truest form is rarely so loud. More often, courage is quiet. It is a whisper within you that says, move. It does not demand that you run. It does not insist that you leap. It does not require that you conquer the mountain in one bound. Sometimes courage asks only that you take one step, that you lean forward ever so slightly when your whole being is urging you to retreat. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it. It is not the elimination of doubt. It is the decision to go forward carrying doubt as a companion rather than a master. There are moments when life will strip you of strength. Your body will feel heavy, your spirit worn, your mind clouded with uncertainty. You will stand at the edge of your purpose and hear the echo of your own hesitation. And it is here that courage must rise. Not the kind of courage that waits for clarity or guarantees, but the kind that trusts in the simple act of motion. For when you move, even the smallest inch, you begin to break the chains of paralysis. Fear feeds on stillness, but it weakens when you step forward. Doubt grows in silence, but it falters when you act. The momentum of courage is built not in grand victories, but in the willingness to continue. Think of the traveler facing a long and treacherous road. If he waits until he is fearless, he will never begin, for fear never leaves entirely. But if he takes the first step, trembling though it may be, the road begins to open. Each step strengthens him. Each mile teaches him. The road that once seemed impossible becomes possible, not because the fear vanished, but because courage moved in harmony with it. This is the gift of courage in motion. It transforms fear into fuel and doubt into direction. There are those who mistake courage for recklessness, imagining it to be a wild, thoughtless charge into danger. But courage is not recklessness. It is measured, deliberate, rooted in purpose. Courage does not say, ignore the risk. Courage says, acknowledge the risk and move anyway. It is the recognition that your calling is greater than your comfort, that your dream is larger than your fear, that your destiny deserves more than your hesitation. And so you move, not because you are unafraid, but because you have decided that fear will not be your master. Every act of greatness, every triumph that history remembers, began with this kind of courage. The voices that shaped nations did not speak without trembling. The hands that built wonders did not labor without uncertainty. The souls that stood against injustice did not do so without fear. But they moved. They chose motion over paralysis, progress over safety, courage over comfort. They understood that to stand still in the face of a calling is to surrender it. And so even when the heart quaked and the path was unclear, they put one foot before the other and discovered that motion itself creates possibility. Courage in motion is not about speed. It is not about arriving quickly or impressing others with bold strides. It is about persistence. It is about refusing to remain frozen when everything in you wants to turn back. It is about saying, I will go on, if only by a fraction, if only by an inch. And in that inch, entire worlds can change. A small step taken with courage can open doors that fear would have kept locked. A hesitant word spoken with courage can heal wounds that silence would have deepened. A fragile attempt made with courage can birth a strength you did not know lived within you. There are those who see work as a burden, as a chain wrapped around the ankles, as a sentence to be endured rather than a gift to be embraced. They groan at the thought of labor, believing it to be nothing more than toil and struggle, a weight pressing down upon the spirit. But this is a shallow view of work. Work, when understood in its highest form, is not bondage, but liberation. It is the rhythm that shapes chaos into order, the melody that turns dreams into flesh, the song that carries the soul from captivity into creation. Work is not the enemy of freedom, it is the very expression of it. To work is to declare, I am not powerless. For as long as you can labor, as long as you can shape with your hands, direct with your mind, or move with your body, you are not a prisoner of circumstance. Work is the language of freedom because it allows you to transform what is into what can be. A field left alone will remain wild, but through work it becomes a garden. A mind neglected remains idle, but through work it becomes a wellspring of ideas. A life untouched drifts wherever the wind carries it, but through work it finds direction, form, and dignity. Work is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you long to be. And every step upon that bridge is an act of liberation. There is music in labor if you learn to hear it. The steady rhythm of persistence is like a drum beat, marking the passage of time with purpose. The rise and fall of effort, the push and pull, the strain and release, it forms a song. And though the melody is not always sweet in the moment when the song is heard in its fullness, it becomes the anthem of freedom. Those who disdain work often hear only the strain, but those who embrace it discover the harmony. For in every drop of sweat, in every ounce of effort, there is a note of triumph being written into the song of your life. Think of the enslaved who once sang as they labored in fields, their voices rising above the crack of whips and the weight of oppression. Their song was not only sorrow, it was resistance. It was hope. It was freedom declared in the midst of bondage. Work did not silence their spirit. It gave rhythm to their endurance and a melody to their dreams. In that song was the truth that though their bodies were bound, their souls were still free. And so it is with us today. When you approach work with the spirit of freedom, you transform it from drudgery into dignity, from obligation into opportunity, from heaviness into song. Too often we wish to escape the necessity of labor, dreaming of ease and endless leisure. But what would leisure mean if there were no work before it? What would rest be without effort to precede it? Rest is sweet because work gives it meaning. Accomplishment is joyous because labor paved the way. To work is to be alive, to engage with the world, to shape your hours into something that remains after the day has ended. Work gives you the power to carve your name into time, to sing your song upon the earth so that when your voice is gone, the echoes still remain. Work, then, is not punishment but participation in creation. Each time you labor towards your vision, you are joining the Creator in the ongoing act of making something new. You are declaring that you refuse to sit idle while life passes by. You are saying that you will not be silent while your dreams wither unwatered. You are singing with your hands, your mind, your body, and your will. And though the song may be rough in places, though it may strain your voice and test your breath, it is your song, and in singing it, you are free,